Hello, hi there, everybody. It's Jackie, and it's Reiki. I hope you're well. I hope this finds you well. I'm talking today about what is Reiki and how does it work. And this is a little bit different because it's not me explaining what Reiki is particularly to you. It's more helping you say the words and know the words so that you can share that with others. So I've had a question from one of my students, and it's a question that I think is asked a lot, especially during my teaching. Um, when we learn Reiki, we learn it for ourselves, and we learn it over many hours, and we feel it and we experience it, and it's wonderful, and we have our attunement, which is very special, and it's a very personal thing, and obviously there's syllabus to go through and there's learning to be done, but in learning Reiki is one of those things that needs to be felt, really. So we can go through understanding the hand positions and the various other things that Dr. Usui taught us. But yes, what happens when you've learnt Reiki and you're full of enthusiasm and you've changed? Because that's what happens when you learn Reiki. You change. It happens quite quickly. And you do change, and you're not quite the same, and you're full of this secret in a way. And other people can tell. And so even if you're trying not to talk about Reiki to people, and I know that sounds odd, but I do encourage people not to talk about Reiki when they learn Reiki 1, because I think it can really do more harm than good in the early days. I actually wrote a book with this in mind, because from my point of view as a teacher, it's quite disheartening to see so many incredible people learn Reiki and then put it down again, and it happens because of lack of confidence. So yes, I wrote a book. So I'm a Reiki practitioner. What now? And it's on Amazon. And if you'd like to buy it, that would be great. It's very, very tiny, and it's just me. It's an extension of my teaching, but it's me talking about these little things. So when you've learnt Reiki, you're full of it, full of the enthusiasm, and other people are saying to you, "Well, what is it then?" And your mind just goes blank, and you don't know how to explain it because it seems so complicated, and how do you even put it in words? So that could be really tricky. Also, you might manage to do that and bluff your way through, but then they say, well, how does that work then? So yeah, a few hurdles. So I just want to talk to you about that, really, and hope I can help you. So different scenarios. If you're walking down the street and you bump into Fred, who's been an acquaintance, maybe a neighbour, and he says, "Oh, I've not seen you for a while. What have you been up to?" You might be brave and say, "I've been learning Reiki." And he might just stare at you and have no idea what you're talking about. So then what do you say? So what I say to you is, Reiki is very simple. You know, it basically it's a healing therapy technique skill that you learn. It's thousands of years old. It's a Japanese energy therapy, and it's learned primarily to aid relaxation. Yeah, so you could say something like that. You could say to him, "Oh yes, it's a wonderful ancient therapy to help aid relaxation. It's to reduce stress." And I think that is probably all that needs to be said, really, because unless Fred is into his metaphysics or his spirituality or meditates daily, you're not really going to want to say much more without it maybe going a bit over the head, and then just getting the bewildered look. So my advice to you would be to gauge who's asking. Yeah, and I do the same with all sorts of things. So Just thinking, oh my God, macrame. You've just started doing macrame. It's something that I remember learning at school. So it's been around forever because I'm forever old. And I could have a lovely chat about macrame with my mum. Yeah, and no problem. But if, say, I phoned my son, he'd say, "Macra, what? What you on about, mum?" And probably, I'm generalizing here. So I'm just explaining that I would then have to talk about the fact that I'm using jute, I'm using some twine, and I'm making knots. And by doing that, and by using several strands, I then create this beautiful piece of artwork. I wish, which I can hang pot plants in or make a wall hanger for the wall. So what I'm saying is, you gauge who it is that's asking. Um, so if you were to be walking down the street and you meet Sammy, who is a yoga instructor, and she is a vegan. I'm being really general here. I'm sorry. Terrible. But you know what I mean. Oh my goodness, she's going to understand why. She probably does Reiki. She's probably a Reiki master herself. You can talk about energy. You can talk about distant healing. You can talk about your attunement with her. You can talk about the amazing effects that it's had with you, and I'm sure it will be a really easy conversation. You could even talk about the chakras and your energetic circulatory system. But yeah, it's Reiki is so much that you just bring in whatever you feel is relevant for the situation. That's what I'm trying to say. So I think very generally, if you're at work, you're in the staff room, oh, it's a Japanese energy therapy used for relaxation. And I would liken it to meditation, really, because for me personally, it is my form of meditation, and I know the bulk of people that I teach Reiki, that's kind of how it helps them, definitely initially at the beginning, because it's a big leap, Reiki. You're going from this mainstream world of busyness and distraction to, um, just checking I'm recording there. Probably on pause, and I've got to do this all over again. To going to the world of, as I said, quantum physics. Because we're talking about there being no concept of time or distance, and we're talking about the cells in our body, our DNA. We're talking about color, chakras. Yeah, so it's a big leap. So there's different scales. So just work out where that person is and adjust your language accordingly. But yes, definitely, that's what Reiki is. It is a relaxation technique. And if we can relax, then our bodies will naturally heal. So I think go with that. It's a relaxation technique. And if the person wants any more, then they're up for more, and they can take more, and you can just walk along with them. What about so how does it work? So yes, it might be that they do say, oh, okay, a meditation technique. Well, how does it work? So for me, I would talk about um, the fact that you have learned this technique, and you are able to then facilitate others to be able to do this for themselves, and you're able to use this Reiki for yourself, and you're able to use it for others. So you could talk about I mean, really, you're talking about intention. So if somebody says, "How does it work?" You're using your intention and the skills that you've learned. So that's probably quite understandable in this day and age. We understand what Tai Chi is. I think Tai Chi is very similar. Tai Chi, people are wanting to um, they're wanting to find a state of relaxation, and so they're using the energy. They are working with the energy, aren't they? You see people in the parks doing this, and it's a form of meditation, and it's working with the energy. It's exactly the same. We're having the intention that we want to relax and go into that space of healing, whether it's for ourselves or it's for someone else, and then we are focusing and intending that that is what we're doing, and it's balance. So if you talk about balance, we're just balancing the body, and we're balancing it on many layers, aren't we? Balancing it emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically, obviously. So yes, it can address all those things. So that's really as deep as I would go with people, unless, you know, it was a friend of yours and you were going for a coffee and you could bore her to death about it all until she glazes over. Or obviously you're doing a treatment, or someone approaches you and says, I've heard you're learning Reiki. I'd be really interested in you sharing that with me, and maybe even trying a bit on me if you'd be up for that. And then obviously, oh my goodness, you can share to your heart's content, and that would be amazing. But yes, when you first learn Reiki, I do say do the opposite, keep it to yourself, only because and I say this when I'm teaching, so I'm probably repeating myself if you're a student. When we come across something new, we get very excited and we are enthused, and we want the world to know about it. And we do change. You know, we do change. It happens whether you start swimming or skiing or any interest, you do change a little bit, because your ideas change and your mind opens, your perception opens. And so basically, when you learn Reiki, it's like I always say, it's like you're getting a new pair of shoes, and you step into these shoes, and it feels different, and you feel different. It's going to take you a while to get used to these shoes, and you're growing and you're learning and you're trying this new thing. But you have to remember that everybody around you, they are still where they are in their old shoes. And it's not our job to carry them all forward with us. It's not our job to force Reiki on anyone. I think that's what I'm trying to say. And unfortunately, when we are enthusiastic and excited, we can do that a little bit. So that's why Reiki 1 is all about us. It's all about us. And most people say that terrible word, selfish. Is it not selfish for me to just be doing this for myself all the time? No, absolutely not. That's why we are all in the situation we're in with our health concerns and worries. So yes, Reiki primarily is for ourselves, and we have to fill ourselves up, get ourselves beautifully balanced and centered and in a good place. Then, oh my goodness, it's going to spill out, and you're going to be shining, and your aura will be shining, and you will look physically different, and you will look energetically different to other people, and that will just it just is, it's your aura. And people will be pulling Reiki out of you. They'll be like wanting to know what you're doing, and you won't be able to hide it any longer. But when you first come across Reiki, I think you need to just almost keep it as a secret for a little bit while you do nurture it and get used to it, and give it to yourself. And as you journey on with Reiki 2, and maybe Reiki 3, maybe coming to even teaching, that's when, we really realize that Reiki is Reiki is everything, and we are being Reiki. You just can't turn it off. You see it everywhere. You just Reiki. And so yeah, it kind of comes full circle, actually, because Reiki suddenly becomes really simple and easy and is just life. But when you first come across it, it does seem complicated. Yeah, because we're talking about the cells and atoms, and the universe, and the we do talk about the law of attraction, don't we, and manifesting, and other people's energy, and how that has an effect on us, and how we have an effect on them, and being empathic, and all, and yeah. So hopefully I have helped you there in explaining to the people that you meet after you've learned Reiki what Reiki is, and how it works. I think I'll have to rewind and just check. But yeah, I'm not going to complicate this video any more than I probably have. So I'll leave it there. I wish you a lovely day. If you're interested in learning Reiki, please message me and we can meet up. And I can tell you any more about it. But if you are a student of mine or anyone out there that is still confused, then do comment below, and I'll try and do more videos to demystify things a little and help you. Love to you. Have the rest of a lovely day. Bye.